How's it going, my brothers and sisters in Christ? So we got a little bit of news today. It's gonna be a little bit of a different video. There's some kind of, I guess, major college football news. Lane Kiffin, head coach of Ole Miss, kicked a player off the team because he took a 2-week mental health break. Now, I personally, I'm not opposed to the mental health breaks at all. I can only see and imagine how stressful college football can be because it is a business now. People get, like, you see these players getting NIL deals. They're getting crazy endorsements, and it's turned into, I wouldn't say like a D league to the NFL. I mean, it's always been like the draft talent, but now it's getting to a different place of these kids are using their leverage now to not going into the NFL because they don't want to go to a bad team. Like you see now with Caleb Williams. I'm pretty sure he's going to stay another year. Shador Sanders is probably going to stay another year because he probably doesn't want to go to a bad team. But anyways, forget all that. Right here, we have the whole entire, I wouldn't say whole entire, but we have a bits and piece of the audio obtained from the conversation that Lane Kiffin had with DeSanto Rollins, the D tackle for the Ole Miss Rebels. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the video. I want to see which. I'm gonna hold my thoughts until the end of the video because there's another video I want y'all to watch. But I'm just gonna play it raw for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. And for real.
If you would have come here.
Oh, hold on now. Hold on. I'll function. Ugh. There you go.
If you would have come here when you kept getting messages, the head coach wants to talk to you, and you saying, I'm not ready to talk to him.
I wasn't.
Well, what world do you live in?
I don't see why you gotta be disrespectful, honestly.
Get out of here. Go, you're off the team. You're done. See ya.
Because I'm...
See ya. Go. And guess what? We can kick you off the team. So go read your rights about mental health. We can kick you off the team for not showing up. When the head coach has to meet with you and you don't show up for weeks, okay, we can remove you from the team. It's called being a It's called hiding behind and not showing up to work. If you would have come here when you kept...
Okay, so you heard in the conversation Lane Kiffin saying, they've tried to reach out to him multiple times about meeting with the head coach, and then you even hear Rollins saying, "No, I wasn't ready." That's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say it's hiding behind a wall, but at the same time, now you're in a position where you're blessed to have a scholarship to go to a D1 school for football, have your whole entire college expenses paid for, and then you're taking up someone else's spot that possibly could be, feeding for one who has been dogging it out for years and trying to get it, make their name and make their way to the Division I level. And so, I mean, me being I've come from a competitive background, and this is why this is one of the reasons why I kind of liked, because background, I used to do gymnastics for my first sport, was my very first sport. I was in a team, but it was more individualized. So, the points that you get didn't go towards a team, but it's just for you. And so I was kind of solo dolo when I was doing gymnastics. Then when I got into football, I understood the culture of competitiveness, being around a team and working together. And, once you start to get to high school level, that's where it starts to turn up a little bit more when you get to that varsity level. These coaches expect more of you, and you just can't take a day off. You can't take a day off, because it's pretty much almost a job while you're at school. It's a second job. And in the real world, if you take 2 weeks off for no reason, well, not for no reason, but and you don't tell anybody, but it's for mental health reasons. If you don't tell anybody the right way, I mean, they have a right to just, get you up out of here. So, I mean, is it messed up? Is it really messed up that he can just do that? Yeah, but at the same time, it's bro, he has a program that he's running, and he has other people that would die to have his spot, and so he's trying to make the best team possible, make the best team in the SEC possible in that conference. So it is a tricky situation, just because the guy is having mental health issues. I mean, we don't know what it is we can only speculate until the full news comes out. But there's another video that I want to watch or want to like watch with y'all. I saw like a portion of it. I saw like a minute of it on Twitter. I got the full video right here, so I want to watch this full video with you guys right here because I think it goes more in depth of the situation. So this is Josh Pate on the late kickoff with Josh Pate on his YouTube, so y'all go check him out. But yeah, he kind of goes more into depth about it, so let's go and watch.
There was some audio of Lane Kiffin that was leaked today that's both pretty crazy on the surface and then pretty crazy when you dig into it a little bit. You remember, about a year ago, I did a segment on NIL, and I talked about how I personally don't have a problem with NIL, especially in the true spirit of NIL, but I said a lot of people championing NIL are not ready for the consequences. You can't just have NIL. You can't just all of a sudden treat guys as if they are paid employees and not expect a different kind of culture and different kind of environment to permeate college football. You may not be able to legally call them employees, but when they're getting paid, they're employees. They're going to be treated as such, even more so than they ever had before. And I thought that in due time, there were going to be examples of that extreme tough love or absent love and just brutal truth and honesty that exist in the real world, maybe at your pace of employment, that was going to percolate throughout college athletics. And I didn't think a lot of people were ready for that. They just didn't know what they were asking for. With that in mind, let me tell you about a kid named DeSanto Rollins. He was a 3-star defensive tackle in the 2020 recruiting cycle, been pretty injury prone. He's at Ole Miss. He switched to scout teams, switched sides of the ball. He wasn't crazy about that. The coaching staff, as most coaching staffs do, not so subtly suggested maybe you should transfer. He didn't want to transfer. And so they put him over on the scout team on offense. He didn't like it. So he said, I'm taking a mental health break. And he disappeared for 2 weeks. And Lane Kiffin asked to meet with him. And that was on March 7th. And March 21st of this year, DeSanto Rollins finally shows back up when he was good and ready to. And that led to this audio. Roll it, Colin.
If you would have come here,
And we already watched it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just speed past it real quick.
go read your rights. We can remove you from the team.
Move, a lawsuit. This was a calculated move. A lawsuit was filed. That's why that was recorded to begin with. It was all leading to an eventual lawsuit, as these things often are. And the reason.
Oh yeah, and that lawsuit that he's talking about right now is a lawsuit of $40 million. 40 million. That's crazy.
And you're hearing that audio today is not just because Ole Miss has a big game coming up against Georgia. That audio is courtesy of Front Office Sports, by the way. They broke that story today. You're not just hearing that audio today because it was conveniently leaked right before Ole Miss's biggest game of the season or one of the biggest games of the season. You're hearing that audio today because a motion was filed by Ole Miss to dismiss a lawsuit that was filed on behalf of DeSanto Rollins, alleging all sorts of different impropriety on the way he was treated by Ole Miss. They filed the motion to dismiss, and conveniently, nearly immediately, audio that he had secretly recorded during his meeting with Lane Kiffin was leaked. Now, it's legal in the state of Mississippi. It's a one-party consent state, so you can record whoever you want to. It doesn't mean it's not sketches all get out, but you can do it. That was leaked to manufacture leverage. That was leaked to sort of manufacture an outrage campaign. And brother, it backfired fantastically, and I'm so glad it did. Because I was ready to come on this show, and I didn't care if the entire world had mounted up against Lane Kiffin. That is garbage. Like, what he had to deal with there is garbage. Now, I'm going to beat a lot of you to the punch, because this really all centers around the precipice of mental health. The entire premise of DeSanto Rollins allegedly needing a 2-week break was in the name of mental health. His fragile emotional state that you heard on that recording is being presented under the auspices of mental health. I'm not here to diagnose him one way or the other. I don't know him. I've never met him before. But if you want to tell me, Josh, you got to take mental health seriously now. Depression and mental health is a real thing. You don't have to tell me that. I've talked about that on this show before. I've given you examples of people I know close to me in my personal life. And this isn't one of those, I know people with mental health so I can say whatever I want to about mental health things. It is to say, the more seriously you take something, the more you also need to call it out when it's used exactly as Lane Kiffin described, as something to hide behind. It is my opinion that mental health here was used as something to hide behind, and the reason can be traced to the timing. And I also will virtually guarantee you this. If this report from Front Office Sports, and if that recording were to indicate that as soon as Lane Kiffin summoned him on March 7th, he showed up, I doubt you'd hear the tone Kiffin took. And that's even with them not wanting a kid on the team. I highly doubt that. You don't get to take 2 weeks off, man. You don't get to do that. They'd fire you as a volunteer. You go volunteer at a soup kitchen and don't show up for 2 weeks and you're gone. You're on scholarship in major college football. You don't get, when things don't go your way, to say, I don't like it here right now, but hold my spot for me now. I'll be back. I'll be back when I'm ready, though. He actually said, I just wasn't ready to meet with him. Yeah, he summoned me. The head coach here who runs the program, he did summon me. You know, the one who gives me the scholarship, he summoned me. I just wasn't ready, you know? So on my time, you're not on your time. When you're a scholarship athlete, you're not on your time. I need you to do me one favor. Please, for just the remainder of this segment, for like the next 2 or 3 minutes, can we please just be real with each other?
Before he starts going in on it, I mean, I'll pull up some scriptures real quick. I know it's in Thessalonians. I just looked it up on my phone earlier. It's on my tabs, but you know, it's like God will say, you know, for even when we were with you, we gave you this rule: if man will not work, he shall not eat. That's in Thessalonians 3, or 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. You know, and not to make it about, you know, religion or a relationship with Christ. When you're handed an opportunity, I mean, you have to take it as full control as you possibly can. You have to take the fullest control you possibly can with that opportunity. And if you're gonna just squabble it away and think that you can do it your own way, then it's not gonna work out in your favor any of the times. You know, I'm pretty sure if Rollins, and I think I said this earlier, if Rollins took this a different approach, like if he even came to Lane Kiffin first and said like, hey, like, I'm not feeling well. I'm not doing, like, there's probably a right way he could have done it. I just don't think this is the right way. 2 weeks not showing up. Like, I can't do that on my job. If I do that on my job, I'm either getting demoted. I'm either getting a, like a not a protection plan, but like I'm getting an action plan put on me, or I'm getting fired most likely. Like in the real world, like, bro, that's not acceptable. You can't just take off 2 weeks. Because I mean, even if you did take off 2 weeks, like the third day, you're getting a wellness check. So it's like, bro, you got to let somebody know about your situation. Like, I don't know the full dynamics of the situation with DeSante Rollins, but I'm pretty sure whatever he's going through, he could have came to them, or most likely, I mean, like what was said in the video, he probably didn't feel as if he was in a safe environment to be talking to them in a way. That still doesn't negate what he did, bro. You have to talk to these guys. You have to talk to your coach. You have to talk to your position coach, head coach, pretty much anybody you can to let them know that you're going through something. And I'm pretty sure that probably would have accommodated him. But I mean, there's just no way that you can get away with something like that. There's absolutely no way, because you're taking up a roster spot and taking away from somebody else's opportunity to play. And yeah, I mean, it's just no acceptance. There's no acceptable way to just take 2 weeks off and not get away with it. You know what I'm saying?
It's just us. You're not speaking. You're not at a lectern or at a podium. You don't have to use all the focus grouped buzzwords and phrases. You don't have to sanitize things. We all get what's happening here. I think 95% of us get what's happening here. There is not a thing wrong with what Lane Kiffin said. You can tell me, well, he shouldn't use that language. You've never been in a locker room before. You've never been in a competitive environment before. I don't even have to endorse it. I'm just telling you that's par for the course. When you're an adult and you don't do what you're supposed to do, that's par for the course. Frankly, it could have been a lot worse. So that's par for the course. And if anything, it was probably handled as delicately as one could expect it to be handled in that environment. And secondly, who out there gets away with that? Who out there, if everything else is valid, gets away with it? If everything about mental health is valid, if everything about depression is valid, even having checked those boxes, who gets away with that? We don't have any documentation of him raising those issues and Ole Miss saying, we don't care about your mental health. There's none of that. There was, you're here on scholarship, and in exchange, you provide us services. You provide us yourself, essentially, is what you do, and you didn't make yourself available. So, by the way, as of tonight, he's still on scholarship at Ole Miss. He's sitting on that football team, nor should he be. I will give you fair warning on this. Got a little worked up, as you can see earlier today, and still am. I'm going to give you fair warning on it. There are a lot of people in college athletics and elsewhere dealing with valid mental health concerns. They need to be taken seriously. And I think the best way to take them seriously is when someone tries to hide behind it for financial gain, and someone tries to conveniently, time up a smear campaign, which is essentially what this boils down to, and tries to use it because they know it's like a safeguard and you're not allowed to criticize it. Criticize it. Criticize it. That's what needs to happen when someone does that. Most people, like I said, have never been in locker rooms, so they think that that goes way, way beyond the pale of how you're supposed to treat people and deal with people. You just heard in the real world what happens when an adult has responsibility in a highly competitive environment and they don't fulfill their end of the bargain. Lane Kiffin doesn't fulfill his end of the bargain, he'll get fired. And they won't really care how they talk to him about it. He'll just get fired. It's happened before. They left the dude on the tarmac. Need I remind you? Secondly, causes are like oxygen. And so there are a lot of folks who cover sports in general and who cover this sport who don't really care about the sport. That's why you never really see them go too deep dive into the game itself. But they do rally around drama, soap opera, causes. That's like oxygen to these people. So you will see one or two of the usual casuals out there latch onto this, and they'll get a week's worth of traffic out of it. And number three, you're going to have to deal with the drive-by crowd too. People who could not tell you what city Ole Miss is located in, couldn't tell you the mascot of the school to save their lives, will become experts on this overnight. That's going to happen. It'll be delayed a little bit because this hasn't fully circulated out into the mainstream. It will. Kiffin and Ole Miss will have to deal with it. I am probably dealing with it for the last time on this show. And
yeah, and just kind of like give my final thoughts about it. Like, I know, like being in a competitive environment when I was playing football, the coaches, they care about us, dog. They do. And if we did wrong, like they'll start us wrong, like we're their children. Because they want to see us do good and they want to see us be great. But if we're not gonna abide by their rules and not listen to them, we're gonna face the consequences. That's what, like with anything, like at home that you deal with or in the real world. If you don't do or fulfill your promises that you have and your duties, then you're gonna get fired. You're gonna get left behind, or they're gonna replace you. And that's just the real world. Like, bro, like literally, I have to go to work later today. Do I want to? No, but I have bills to pay. I have obligations to fulfill. And if I don't fulfill those obligations, I'm going to be homeless. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm going to be living in a shelter or something like that. And I don't want that to happen. So I must work. Whether that's me getting paid or if I'm on a football field. And it doesn't matter what my personal bias is. Like, the truth is the truth. And the truth is, if you don't work, you will not eat. And that goes for any man. But get in my comment section below. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what y'all think about this video. I'm on the side of Lane Kiffin. If I'm a boss, if I'm hiring somebody, that there's a no-fly zone for that. Absolutely not. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. All right. Peace. God bless you.